Hey, I'm going to Japan in 3 days. Oh my god, I just realized. What's up, is a cultural detective here investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm going to be doing my second review of the day, and that would be the new Haru Nemuri album, Ekkolaptόmenos. So, Haru Nemuri is a Japanese singer, songwriter, producer, and she's back with a new album, her third full-length studio album, Ekkolaptόmenos, a few years ago, thanks to the likes of, the Melon Man Fantano. I was introduced to Haru to Shuda, which was an amazing sort of this J-pop, J-rock combination album that features some of the most energetic and exciting music coming out from that year. Since then, I've been really looking forward to listening to more music from Haru Nemuri. A few years ago, we have the album Shunka Ryogen, which sees Haru Nemuri completely changing to a different direction, and I get the sense that when Haru Nemuri made Haru to Shuda, a small part of her is essentially trying to appeal to mainstream Japanese tastes, or also just mainstream tastes in the world in general, because the world constantly puts pop and rock music from Japan in a J-pop and J-rock framework, when in fact music from that region can be so much more diverse and interesting, which I totally agree. But that brings us to Shunka Ryogen, her second album, which I thought was lacking in so many ways. One way is that she's trying to do this really dramatic, new, epic kind of music that just is not really working out because her vocals do not have the right chops. The production does not support this genre as well, and I just don't think it's as well written or as consistent as her first album. Last year, she suddenly decided to collaborate with American pop duo Frost Children on the EP Soul Kiss, which I thought was really good. That ended up not so well, ending with a huge drama between Haru Nemuri and Frost Children. But I'm happy to see that Haru Nemuri is immediately back with a new album, just doing perfectly fine on her own. So, new album here, Ekkolaptόmenos, and on this album I could really hear that she's coming into her own voice, but unfortunately, her new sound on this album comes off kind of half-baked and at times trite. And again, I feel like this album is doing a lot of things that her previous album, Shunka Ryogen, was doing, except this one maybe is a bit more developed stylistically, but a lot of this album feels like epic video game music, or like when the boss appears and the boss music starts playing. So, the album opener, Anointment, starts off with slow, spacey, big drums. We get really stern melodies performed with robotic vocals. The melodies, the chords on this track, and pretty much on the rest of the album, have this medieval folk quality to it. Again, it's like very video game. I can't exactly pinpoint what video games because I'm not a gamer, but it's like some kind of video game thing going on, some Dark Souls thing going on. And unfortunately, it just feels really one note. It just feels like boss music, and then we have the very dramatic lyrics about the meaninglessness of life, and there's a throne on a mountain of corpses, and all these cool visuals, all these very vivid imagery as described by the lyrics, not really followed up with like an interesting allegory or something. Then we have Haven, which is much messier instrumentally, and then halfway through the track we have a glitchy breakdown into music box horrorcore on top of fiery guitars, which don't really make a lot of sense musically, in my opinion. Then Panopticon continues with a half singing, half rapping that Haru is really known for. We have a lot of cool elements and production, a swivering bassy beat, hand claps, But then the cool elements are contrasted by not so cool elements with the over dramatic distorted guitars. The whole track just oversells itself. And again, lyrically, it feels like it's getting at some kind of fantasy thing, especially with lyrics like, who's wanting for me? Who's waiting for me? Who's waiting for me? I'm in this panopticon. Sometimes the world, children, parents, monsters, ghosts, love, and prayers. And it just feels like the lyrics are not going towards anything. Supernova has these rumbling, distorted guitars, and man, her vocals are too soft. And when you have such loud, noisy guitars, it just completely buries her vocals. And when she tries to really project her voice on this track, it just sounds like a Kermit the Frog on fire. I know this sounds really mean. I'm sorry, Haru Nemuri, but this does not work. Terrain Vague kind of goes back to good old J-rock territory. It feels like a soundtrack to a climax of an anime film. We have stargazy guitars, dramatic chords, fiery hi-hats. It's pretty compelling, but I wouldn't say it's anything groundbreaking. The next track, Exivitas, has the pumping dance beats and the monotone vocals. On this track and on many other moments on the album, Haru Nemuri tries to sing in this, like this very one-note robotic vocal. It's like she's trying to imitate Vocaloid. And the chorus is like pretty generic, except we have these bass-boosted beats and a trap beat near the end for some reason. Then we're hit with Cosmic Egg, which is a bare-bones electro ballad in the first half, and then it quiets out and we have Haru Nemuri doing a little bit of voice acting, Itahayo, which means it hurts, and then it sort of explodes into something big. I wanted to check out the lyrics for this track a little bit more, but I can't seem to find any English translation for the lyrics here. I do have the Japanese lyrics from Uta something website called Uta something, yeah. But seems like it kind of interweaves a concept. Indulgentia has these tribal chants and cold-blooded rapping over it. Repeated refrains, enkyosuru, which I believe means to break out of the mold, to cross the barrier. And I think, in my opinion, conceptually, this is when I guess that the main character of this album is breaking through the barrier and is fighting for their life, and it sort of leads up to the climax of the album, Symposium, which sounds like a continuation of the last track, but it's also easily the most fiery and exciting track on the album. There's even this chipmunk rapping moment where Haru Nemuri is imitating someone else, asking her, like, do you listen to K-pop? Do you know about 3.1 or 3.1? I don't really know what 3.1 is. It's probably some kind of specific reference that I'm just not getting. But this track definitely has that kind of anger, that very fundamental anger that Haru Nemuri has for the music industry, for the culture of Japan, for the system in general, and also at the end of her verse, she just goes, this country sucks. And then by the time we hit that moment, I realized that it's only been 1 minute 20 seconds. The rest of the track is just this crazy, dancey electronic breakdown. So that was very fun. The last two tracks, though, just did not live up to the expectations. Angelus Novus is a chopped up, glitchy rock Vocaloid song. Again, quote unquote Vocaloid. Production on this track is probably one of the worst on the album. The beat feels really out of sync from the rapping. Maybe she's trying to get at a syncopated rhythm, it just doesn't really work. And then the album ends up with Iconoclasm, where I guess lyrically she tries to explore how the world has so much suffering and also children being dead, and my money is going to that, which we all know what it's referring to. And at the end of the track, she just explains that she just wants to exist. She just wants to be content with her existence. And it tries to be this epic conclusion, but the horns and the drums, they all feel really contained. It feels like they're being repressed and they're not allowed to explode enough. But yeah, overall, I guess this album has some interesting ideas, but production-wise, musically, it's still very half-baked. It still has a long way to go, and I'm giving this album like a strong 5, maybe to a light 6 out of 10. So, have you listened to the new Haru Nemuri album? Comments below, let me know, subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.